Adam symbolizes a journey in search of the Creator on both an individual and universal level. In this sense, Adam has much to face, and this is only possible in this earthly school. Because if we've come here, we will either guide this camel or leave this land empty-handed. We need to evaluate our time correctly before it consumes us. Humans are the only beings in this universe capable of rebirth and transformation. Every action done with awareness resonates universally. Above all, what is expected from humans is to be the representatives of God on earth. The responsibility of spreading peace, justice, and love. This responsibility requires living not only for ourselves, but for all humanity. Hello, everyone. Have you ever wondered what Adam's journey story served for? Why did he come to this world? Of course, metaphorically speaking, just for taking a bite of an apple. But what was the real deal? The details of the matter. Okay, let's say he was cast here or exiled, whatever. But what happened after? Today, I wanted to talk about Adam's journey on an individual and universal level. In other words, the deep and meaningful journey of man and its individual and universal aspects. The symbolic story of Adam, told to all of us by all religions, on the individual side, is a journey of discovering our inner world and reaching universal consciousness and divine truth. On the universal side, it symbolizes humanity's existence, moral development, and spiritual evolution as a conscious being. Last week, I made a detailed video on the literal and metaphorical meanings of Adam and man. Adam symbolizes a journey in search of the Creator on both an individual and universal level. Adam's story tells us the process of finding his own identity and purpose of existence. This story is also a journey into the collective consciousness of humanity. Adam tries to transcend his individual limits to reach universal consciousness. The individual side of this journey starts with discovering your inner world. It starts with existential questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What is the meaning of life? A person begins to question themselves with their inner conflicts, the contradictions between reality and what they have been taught, their bad habits, shortcomings, and with all their good and bad sides, starting with questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What is the meaning of life? They confront themselves and enter a process of inner transformation to overcome these conflicts and find their true self, their essence. Because they realize that all their troubles and negativity actually stem from their own perspective and their inability to find balance with nature. As they come to understand that these conflicts could be caused by past traumas, subconscious fears, things inherited from their ancestors' genes, or the influence of the environment they were born into, they also start to understand that part of it is our human nature. Our human side is always filled with the desire to receive for ourselves, expanding and wanting more, like a cup that gets bigger as it fills. There are also traits unique to the individual that need changing and transforming. For some, it's resentment, anger, hatred. For others, deceit, gossip, or stinginess, jealousy, hypersensitivity, a desire to dominate, or arrogance. Don't say, I don't have those, and become arrogant. Each of you has a package of good and bad traits in your programming, but they may manifest in different proportions and situations. Those that are excessive and out of control signal us through the troubles and negativity we experience in life. In this sense, there are many things Adam needs to confront. This is only possible in this world school. Because if we can't learn through concrete events and relationships here, where else can we learn? Is there a better mirror than this to see ourselves? The more we turn our heads in another direction, life shows us more insistently. Why? Because if we've come here, we must either deal with this or leave this place empty-handed. We must evaluate our time correctly before time devours us. Instead of ignoring, facing it and having the courage to be honest with ourselves is enough, at least for a start. Adam is the one who starts his journey of transformation with the awareness that whatever exists in this universe, there is an example within me. This is just a part of Adam's process of reaching universal consciousness, but it's the most important part. A person starts working on their perspectives and habits to surpass personal boundaries and cleanse all blockages that hinder growth in understanding. Just as a climber must remove all unnecessary burdens and weights from their backpack during an ascent, rising through the levels of consciousness is only possible by shedding the weights that drag us down. We must rid ourselves of all the lies presented as truth and the false beliefs we idolize to reveal the light within us. Because only when we clean the dirt from our windows and remove our curtains can the sunlight come in. Of course, this requires time, patience, effort, belief, and love. Mevlana describes love as a fire capable of transforming everything. Human beings are created as the only entities in the universe capable of rebirthing and transforming themselves. No other living being possesses the ability to become self-aware, change their habits, behaviors, or nature. This life journey is walked both internally and externally by humankind. The personal journey begins with one's discoveries in their inner world and continues with understanding their deep connection to the universe and their universal responsibilities. In this context, a person's individual and universal journey are intertwined dimensions that complement each other, leading individuals to spiritual maturity. Adam is aware that he is a reflection of his own existence and universal consciousness. As he internalizes and carries his universal level of consciousness here, his individual actions here gain meaning at a universal level. A person's task is not merely to carry the knowledge they have learned like a donkey carries a load. They must internalize it to obtain true values for themselves. This is why we are here, to embody and represent these values, the names of the Creator, here. Faith loves effort, say the wise. As we walk this path, effort and action are our greatest friends. The simplest example of this is giving proper education to our children here, or sharing what we've learned with each other, passing on beneficial knowledge, showing love, understanding, empathy to one another, and even just smiling at someone we see on the street. Patting someone's head, feeding them, educating even just one child correctly is actually planting the seeds of a contribution that's much bigger than individual goodness. It's universal. That child will pass it on to other children, and they to others, making your contribution here to even just one person reach a level so great that it's beyond calculation. Like the butterfly effect, because every action done with awareness resonates universally, and this gives meaning to human existence. The meaning of existence is already human. The desire to see all the names and attributes of the Creator reflected in the mirror of a human. Ibn Arabi explains this journey of human with the concept of insani kamil. Insani kamil is the point where a person reaches spiritual maturity and fulfills their role as God's representative on earth perfectly. Ibn Arabi defines a person's closeness to God as the truth of being and says that humans need to discover these truths. There are also verses in the Quran that point to this journey of humans. The verse, indeed, we created man in the best form. It's highlighting the perfection in a person's creation and their potential to reach this perfection. But on the other hand, making mistakes is unique to humans. We learn and mature by making mistakes. I think the phrase in the Quran, do not wrong yourselves, can also be interpreted from this perspective. Falling into the obsession with perfection and harshly judging oneself is one of the traps on this path. Without going to extremes in anything, we're only responsible for the effort and dedication we show on the path to perfection. In ancient knowledge, the importance of effort and striving has always been emphasized. There will be times when we make mistakes and fall. There will be times when we get up and continue the journey. This is how we mature and grow. A person who has patience, effort, and passion is the strongest. Mevlana always emphasized the importance of patience on this journey. The Quran mentions patience and trust in many verses. The truth of a person is far beyond the physical body we see. It is revealed through the values, morals, love, and compassion added to the soul. Only with these values can a person fulfill the duty of being God's representative. This duty is the responsibility to spread peace, justice, and love in the world. But first, one must reveal these values within themselves. Yunus Emre beautifully summarized this path with the words, "The heart is the throne of God. God gazes into the heart." The saying known as a sacred hadith carries the same meaning. I did not fit into the heavens and the earth, but I fit into the heart of my faithful servant. The Creator manifests only in the heart of a person, and God looks at the purity of the heart. Only a cleansed, pure heart can be God's palace. In inner peace, in His presence, He reveals His existence. The saying, "Who knows his own self, knows his Lord," means recognizing oneself is the first step to knowing God. Friends of the truth always say that a person can deepen and purify their inner world to increase their closeness to God. There are also verses in the Quran that talk about the need for a person to discover themselves and get closer to Allah. Whoever believes in Allah, Allah guides his heart to the truth. Before anything else, what is expected from a person is the responsibility as God's representative on earth to spread peace, justice, and love. This responsibility requires living not just for ourselves, but for all of humanity, trying to be compassionate, just, and loving to every living thing around us, and at least sincerely striving as much as we can, will strengthen our spirituality and our closeness to it. The most worthwhile service we can do in this world is this. We all have professions, duties, different identities, responsibilities in life. These may be necessary and important in a worldly sense, of course. Let our achievements, what we do, who we become, and how high we rise, be set aside. Whatever we are we doing it with honesty, sincerity, justice, decency, love, understanding, compassion? This is what makes the difference. Being human. Then the doorways of our hearts open for the Sultan to enter and take the throne. The heart becomes so filled with its light that it sees it everywhere. Because it is the essence present in everything, and the essence that is everything.